Honestly, you're not joining some lifelong cult, you're literally just picking a game engine. Okay, so you've decided you want to start making games. Good call. Now, your Google search has told you that you need to learn something called a game engine. Let's break this down to first principles. What the heck is a game engine anyway? At its core, a game engine is just a piece of software that gives its users a set of tools that they can use to solve common problems that one might face when developing games. So a good example of this is something like physics. Physics can be quite a complicated subject, but thanks to the clever people who make game engines, we can just tick a box that says enable gravity and our object magically has gravity applied. Now, I get to forget about the intricacies involved in the math and all of that stuff, and I can just focus on making this Flappy Bird flap its wings, for example. So now that we have a deep understanding of what a game engine is, and thankfully there are loads of them, we can get closer to picking an engine that will help us write the next Hollow Knight or Little Nightmares. And I'm going to help you decide what the best game engine is for you. As I previously mentioned, there are a bunch of game engines that we can pick from. The three most common though are Unity, Unreal, and Godot. So let's think of some reasons that you might pick one over the others. So let's say for a moment that you have no desire to learn how to code. I'm not quite sure why you wouldn't want to learn how to code. It's a massively useful skill, and I would advise anybody getting into game dev to pick the route that helps you learn how to code. But anyway, let's say you don't want to do that. You can pick between Unity and Unreal because they both have tools that can let you create games without writing any code. Visual editing, as they like to refer to them. So these visual editors will let you drag and drop instructions and other things into flows that can help you put together a game. So these would be some good free options for those with no desire to learn how to code. If you have little to no experience with code and you really want to learn how to code, then I would say Godot is probably perfect for you because their language, GDScript, was designed with the intention of being easy to understand for new developers. So it's really a good way to learn the art of programming. Unity, on the other hand, uses C#, whilst Unreal uses C++. So if you have a little bit of coding experience, these would be easier for you to get into. A lot of people are really intimidated by C++ because allegedly its syntax is really difficult to use and understand. But it's worth noting that C++ is one of the first languages that you would be introduced to in many computer science degrees. And the advantages to learning a language like C++ are endless. If you can master the beast that is C++, I'm pretty sure you'd be able to pick up any other language pretty quickly. This does lead me to another important point though. Because you're learning something new, you will no doubt be Googling the daylights out of everything. And due to the fact that Unity and Unreal have been around for so long, there are endless tutorials and resources online that can help you figure out any problem that you might have. Godot, on the other hand, is a newer platform, so the resources are, I wouldn't say limited, but if we were to look at the Unity and Unreal cases, you can find solutions to the most obscure problems online. And whilst I haven't really had too many issues trying to find resources on Godot, this is just something to keep in mind when making your decision. Next, let's consider the type of game that you are thinking about creating. If you're looking to do something in the 2D space, then Unity and Godot are definitely where you want to be, mostly because Unreal doesn't really support 2D. But Unity and Godot do have great tool sets for 2D game development. Godot is much more lightweight and easier to get started, whilst Unity can be a bit more complicated to learn, but there are so many tools and features that exist in the engine to help you make beautiful looking games and effects. If on the other hand, you have ambitions to make 3D games, then Unity or Unreal are probably where you would want to get started. Unreal is known for its capabilities to handle insane 3D models and create ridiculously beautiful looking worlds. Unity has made huge progress in this regard as well though. Either one of them would be a good choice for somebody starting out. Now, another important point to consider, especially if you have some kind of game-changing idea, no pun intended, that you want to implement is pricing. Now, whilst Unity and Unreal are free to use, they both have pricing plans involved. So Unity has different pricing options, but if you intend on releasing a game to a console, then you will need a Unity Pro license, which is $1,800 per year per seat. And Unreal's pricing is a bit more simple. If your game earns more than $1 million, they will start to take a 5% royalty. Godot, on the other hand, is entirely free. However, there is no support for consoles at this point in time, and they cite not being a company as the reason for this. To conclude, I would say that if you're still unsure after listening to me ramble on about this for a while, just pick any game engine. Honestly, you're not joining some lifelong cult, you're literally just picking a game engine. And I would advise you to just get started. Pick all three, it doesn't really matter. Write a small game in each one of them and decide which one you prefer. At the end of the day, it's all about learning something. And the skills you learn in each of these game engines will transfer quite easily to the others. There are similarities between them. They're all game engines at the end of the day, and they aim to accomplish similar tasks. As for if it were me, I would pick Unreal if I were to start from scratch. And that's just because I program in C# every day for a living. So it would have been nice to get more than efficient in a different language. And C++ is, in my opinion, one of the coolest languages there are to learn out there. It works closer to the hardware, and it's just, you can do so much with it if you learn how to do it properly. But anyway, that's that for this video, and I'll catch you on the next one.